Ciao Fabri, welcome
Ciao
back.
guys.
I mean, there is no more to say, I think. Xabi Alonso left Real Madrid, so let's start from here. The biggest news of the month, probably.
Yeah, we love a podcast reacting to the big news and bringing people behind the scenes. And I think this is the perfect one because 2026, we can name that as the year of the managers and of the shocking news of managers, because we started 2026 on the 1st of January with the news of Enzo Maresca leaving Chelsea, and then we had Ruben Amorim leaving Manchester United, and now Michael Carrick about to become the new interim manager. I think in the next few days, 2-3 days, everything will be signed and official. And then the big bomb today, Xabi Alonso leaving Real Madrid. A big bomb because probably was one of the most unexpected moments, because Real Madrid were still competing in the Super Cup final against Barcelona. Then you can win, you can lose. It's two fantastic teams, so that can happen. But in terms of performance, was probably one of the best performances by Real Madrid in the season, compared to the poor performances Real Madrid had several times, even when they won some games in this first half of the season. But then what's happening behind the scenes and what's been happening in the last 6-7 months at Real Madrid, it's what made the difference for the club and Xabi Alonso's decision to part ways with immediate effect.
Let's talk about that, because we spoke many times about the relationship between him, the dressing room, the club. So what happened between him and the club in the last 24 hours?
Look, the tensions behind the scenes have always been very high between Xabi. And it's not Xabi as a person, because as a person he's always been super appreciated by everyone at Real Madrid. But as a coach, Xabi since the very beginning at Real Madrid wanted to bring his own ideas. And I think you can respect that. I mean, every manager has his own style, his own ideas. Maybe when you reach top level like Real Madrid, some managers can adapt to what the players want. Xabi Alonso wanted to go with a different approach. Xabi Alonso wanted to bring his tactics, his system, his mentality on everything, starting from the Club World Cup. So this started at Club World Cup immediately. If you remember the first press conference by Xabi Alonso announcing himself as Real Madrid manager, he said, I want Real Madrid fans to identify themselves with my team, to show how we play, to show our style, to show the Real Madrid way. Well, that didn't work also because between Xabi, his staff, and the players, the feeling is that the players were used to something different under Carlo Ancelotti, winning a lot of titles with that style, and Xabi Alonso wanted to go on a different way, the way that helped him winning titles at Bayer Leverkusen in a fantastic number of performances and years in Germany. So that's why probably this connection between Xabi and the players was never really on point, and that's why they believe Real Madrid and Xabi, the only way to make it work was to part ways immediately.
So we mentioned about the player situation. Let's go also to talk about Florentino Perez, the mastermind behind Real Madrid. What happened, do you think, or if you know about that in the last hours in his mind also?
Yeah, I mean, the situation with Florentino Perez has always been full of respect between Xavi and Florentino, because if Xabi Alonso became the Real Madrid manager a few months ago, it's because Florentino has been pushing internally for Xabi as the perfect candidate to become a Real Madrid manager. Florentino always had a feeling that Real Madrid had to have a coach like Xabi Alonso in terms of style, in terms of quality, in terms of mentality. He's always been a big fan of Xabi as a player and as a coach. So now is a big disappointment, but sometimes the feeling, and it's not just about Florentino Perez, is everyone who leads the sporting matter at Real Madrid, is that when the connection between the players and the coach is complicated at this stage of the season, you need to take a decision. You can't keep going, because Real Madrid at the end are still competing for everything, for La Liga, for the Copa del Rey, and of course the Champions League. So after the Super Cup final was not just about the game, was about the relationship with some of the players. We all have in our eyes the reaction from Vinicius Junior in El Clásico, the La Liga Clásico won by Real Madrid, playing at home against Barcelona. Fantastic day at the Bernabeu for Real Madrid. But at the same time, that reaction by Vinicius Junior still remains in our eyes. Then Xabi was able to fix the situation with Vinicius, but it's still not the relationship you want to see between a superstar like Vinicius Junior and a superstar like the Real Madrid manager. So that's why this was not working. And also, not only Vinicius, because now we will have a lot of talk about Vini, but I'm sure there are also other players who are not so happy with the methods of Xabi Alonso. So I think also, don't forget what happened with Luka Modric. Last end of the season, Luka Modric had the possibility maybe to stay at Real Madrid. He was open to that. And Xabi Alonso immediately wanted to start a new era. So some decisions were unpopular. So several reasons behind this decision to part ways.
We're not mentioning yet, but Real Madrid already announced a new manager because we had two official statements today. There was one of Xabi Alonso, but also the one of the new manager, Alvaro Arbeloa. So why they decided to appoint him?
Yeah, Alvaro Arbeloa has always been the favorite for Real Madrid internally. If you remember, in December, we released the podcast here on Men in Blazers, and I was saying in case the situation will collapse between Xabi and Real Madrid, the name they have internally is Arbeloa. Because despite Zinedine Zidane visiting the Bernabeu and being at a game a few weeks ago, despite all the rumors on other managers, for Real Madrid was always about the internal solution, someone who can immediately adapt to the relationship with the players. Arbeloa has a very good relationship with many of them. Someone who knows the Real Madrid way, the Real Madrid pressure, how to handle some important moments, and also someone who can immediately make an impact and try to fix the situation. So this is why Alvaro Arbeloa, who is also very, very close to Florentino Perez, he's always been very close to Florentino when he was a player. He's always been one of the favorite players of Florentino in terms of mentality, in terms of leadership, in terms of approach. And then as a manager, obviously, he was working already at Real Madrid, and so they know him so well. So it was the easiest situation in terms of timing, in terms of keeping it secret for Real Madrid. That was really important to maintain everything top secret with this decision in the last 24 hours. And then, of course, for Arbeloa is a fantastic opportunity. He will have the chance to lead the team, to play his own cards, to see if he can be a Real Madrid manager also in the future. But from Florentino Perez, this decision was absolutely approved.
Do you think that he has a shot to stay also in charge at Real Madrid in the future, so he has a chance if he proves himself in the next month?
Look, I would not exclude that. I would not exclude that because at the end of the day, when you have this kind of opportunity, if you are delivering trophies and if your relationship with the players, especially at Real Madrid, where being a manager is not only on the tactical point of view, as we saw with Xabi Alonso, but is also in terms of relationship and feeling with the players, well, if Arbeloa will be able to bring trophies and to connect with the players in the best way possible, I think he has an opportunity and a chance to be a Real Madrid manager also in the future. This at the same level of Manchester United, I would compare the two situations now. Obviously, Real Madrid are in a completely different status in terms of process. So Real Madrid are not in a different situation, have not been in a different situation for 13 years as Manchester United have been. So it's different. But in terms of current situation, you have an interim manager. At Man United will be Michael Carrick. At Real Madrid will be Alvaro Arbeloa, who is not interim, but still a very important manager in a very dangerous position. They will have a chance, but this will not stop clubs, Man United and Real Madrid, from starting their search for a permanent future manager, because I'm sure this process will start in the upcoming months.
And the last one for today, what do you think, what's the feeling at the club? Because we know the effort they put to hire Xabi Alonso in the summer 2025. So what's the feeling at the club right now?
Look, the feeling is that they are quite disappointed with the situation. It's a sad day for Real Madrid because Xabi Alonso, not only from now, is not just about the last 7-8 months. It's about, I would say, the last 2-3 years. They always saw Xabi Alonso as the perfect man to open a new era at Real Madrid, to bring something fresh, something different. Now to see Xabi leaving just after a few months is a big disappointment for everyone at Real Madrid, for the president, for the management, for the players as well, because then when a manager is going, is not always on the manager. And this Xabi Alonso situation, trust me, is not only on Xabi Alonso, is also on the players, absolutely. And so this is a big disappointment for everyone at Real Madrid. At the same time, I still believe, and this is my personal feeling, I was saying the same when we had the Enzo Maresca story here on the podcast, and we were breaking the story on Enzo Maresca leaving Chelsea. I told you, at some point, I think if a manager, and in that case was the club, because Maresca had a fantastic relationship with players at Chelsea, but not with the management, not with the owners. In this case, it's the players, because Xabi Alonso had a fantastic relationship with the management and the president, but not with some of the players, not all of them. Look at Rodrigo, for example, who started performing again in a fantastic way, but with some players, the relationship was bad. When you are in this position, when you are in this situation, it's better to cut the relationship immediately, not to wait too long, not to try too long. Xabi Alonso was already extremely close to being fired in December. It was mid-December. Then he was able to win 2-3 games in a row, but the performances have never been convincing. I think it just didn't click between Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid players and Xabi Alonso, tactical approach, system, methods in training, relationship with the players. this is football sometimes. Can be like disappointing. Sometimes we expect a lot from a manager, a club, and some players, but this one didn't work, and we will be following all the next steps between Real Madrid, Arbeloa, and let's see what happens for the future manager.
Thank you, Fabri, for that, and let's see who gets sacked next time. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao, ciao.